What's going on, Texas fans? It's BMLs here to recap the Week 2 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. Another week where our defense dominated and our offense did enough to win the game, which is what I've been saying since before the preseason started, that this is what our offense was going to have to do, was to be able to stay in games, run the football, get the clock going, and rely on the defense, and that's what we've been doing, and that's why we've won these first 2 weeks. Let's dive right into it. Let's start with the offense. Brock Osweiler didn't have his best game, but he played a lot better than what it says on paper. 19 completions out of 33 attempts, 268 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. Passer rating was pretty bad, 68.8, QBR 47.7. But when you look at it, when you watch the game, the 2 interceptions are really what screws up his passer rating and his QBR. But if you go back to the film and you watch the tape, these 2 interceptions were not mental errors, they were ball placement errors, and that is a little bit of good news because we know Brock Osweiler is making the right decision. But the one thing that I've always had questions about when it comes to Brock Osweiler is his short to intermediate accuracy, in terms of being able to put the ball where it's supposed to be, put it in a great position for the receiver instead of a good position, especially for yards after the catch. But when you look at these 2 interceptions by Marcus Peters, one was off a scrambling play where I believe Braxton Miller was going across on the goal line. He was going left, Osweiler was rolling right, and Osweiler made the right decision to throw it to Braxton Miller. He was open, but he lagged the throw a little bit behind Braxton Miller instead of leading him, and that allowed Marcus Peters to make a good play, undercut it, and pick the ball off, made a good play, and on the first drive of the game once again. Like I said, that's a mental error. And the other one, or that's not a mental error, that's ball placement error. And then the other one was when DeAndre Hopkins got one hand on it and it bobbled it up in the air, and Marcus Peters was able to pick that one off as well. That was ball placement. DeAndre Hopkins was open. He made the right decision. I believe he felt a little pressure and he didn't put the ball where it was supposed to be. But that's something that can be cleaned up. That's not a mental error. That's not him processing the plays wrong. He gets the playbook. You can see it out there. And his chemistry continued with DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller. To start the game off, Will Fuller, deep ball. That's what we want from Will Fuller. And guys, like I said in the last video, I was not a big proponent of us drafting Will Fuller. But when I watch him, I see Deshaun Jackson. Speed. That's what I see. Big playability. And you can tell it's affecting our offense. We're able to run the ball. We're making keeping these safeties from cheating like they did on us last year, and making them stay honest to the deep ball. And it opened up a lot underneath for DeAndre Hopkins with 7 receptions, 113 yards, and a touchdown. And that brings us to the receiving core. DeAndre Hopkins had an excellent game. This is what we expect from him week to week. And you can look at Marcus Peters' stats and say, well, Marcus Peters had a good game too. He had 2 interceptions. Like I said, those 2 interceptions to me were about ball placement and a mix of Marcus Peters. Yes, he made good plays on those balls, but after a big play that he would make, he would give up a big play after that. I mean, he led the league in interceptions last year. He led the league in touchdowns given up last year as well, and led the league in targets because they were taking advantage of his aggressiveness. And that's what we did today when DeAndre Hopkins pulled that double move on Marcus Peters, and Marcus Peters committed defensive pass interference, and DeAndre Hopkins was still open in the end zone for the touchdown. Beautiful throw by Brock Osweiler, off balance, placed it perfectly, and the rest is history. Will Fuller continues his chemistry with Brock Osweiler. He started hot, threatening deep, got a couple deep balls, but he's still able to use he still is a pretty good route runner. I mean, he uses his threat deep to open up the hitch and comeback routes, and we saw that. But I'm just amazed by how wrong I was about Will Fuller. Not that I was completely wrong. I never thought Will Fuller was just a bad prospect. I just thought he was very one-dimensional and wasn't worth the first-round pick. But, he's, 200-yard games in a row, touchdown last game. So I'm really proud of our front office proving me wrong there. But when I watch him, I just see Deshaun Jackson. Just fast, stretching the field. And Will Fuller, he started off hot and cooled down. And when those safeties started creeping back up, they started sending him deep, sending him on those goes, sending him on those deep posts. And it was keeping those safeties honest and allowed us to run the ball and get the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. Other than that, though, Steven Anderson had 2 receptions. Lamar Miller had 2 receptions, and that's about it. 1 receptions by other players. And that's where I question our offense a little bit. when we're playing from behind and trying to catch up, are we going to be able to do that? Do we have enough depth at wide receiver with Braxton Miller and even at, that flex type of tight end with Steven Henderson? That's my only worry about the receiving core. Let's go to the rushing game. Let's talk about Lamar Miller. 3.3 yards a carry. That's 25 carries for 83 yards. No touchdowns. But when you look at these stats, once again, they kind of lie a little bit. You look at the stats and like, wow, he had a pretty bad game. But it wasn't like a 10-yard run and then a 10-yard loss. And it wasn't like that. It was literally 3.3 yards every single carry. It seemed like he was going forward every single carry. And that's what we need from Lamar Miller. Keep the chains moving. Keep the chains moving. We don't need you to bust out a big play. But that's what Lamar Miller brings to the table, and that's what we need from him this season. And I think he had a pretty damn good game from what I watched. No big negative plays, just a lot of positive plays, and that's what we need, setting up good third and short situations. But that's about it with the offense. Overall, the offense looked pretty decent. We were able to move the football, able to score some points, and allow our defense to work. But let's get to that defense. Man, our defense is looking good this year, guys. We're talking about a quadruple set of pass rushers. We have J.J. Watt. Now, Jadeveon Clowney looks good. He looks a lot better against the run, but he's still applying pressure to the quarterback. And then you're talking about Whitney Merciless as well. And like I said in my Houston possible Super Bowl video, whatever, John Simon is a great backup pass rusher, situational pass rusher, whatever you want to call it. 1.5 sacks, along with J.J. Watt's 1.5 sacks, and Bernard McKinney also had a sack. And Bernard McKinney led the team in tackles as well and was able to mix with the safeties to slow down Travis Kelce, and we even got a forced fumble on Travis Kelce. But when you're talking about this pass rush, man, last week I believe we had 5 sacks with 12 quarterback hits. I think it was something like that. This week we had 4 sacks with 9 quarterback hits. We are getting to the quarterback, and that's what it's all about. And the guys really impressing me, even more than the pass rushers, honestly, is the secondary. Guys stepping up on the secondary. You're talking about A.J. Bouye, Andre Hall, and then the guy, like I said, Kevin Johnson. Look for Kevin Johnson to take Kareem Jackson's play time, because once again, the big plays and the clutch plays that were made by the Kansas City offense, it was number 25 running after him. Number 25 missed coverage, It's Kareem Jackson. I'm not a fan of Kareem Jackson. I've never been a fan of Kareem Jackson. And this is exactly why. And I think Kevin Johnson is proving why he's going to end up having a better career than Kareem Jackson. But, of course, Kevin Johnson had the big fumble recovery along with J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless. So we're turning the ball over. That was a big knock on our defense last year. We were great against the run, against the pass, whatever, but we were not getting turnovers. We were averaging turnovers, and that was the thing that was missing, and I believe that's back. We are an elite pass rush, and if we can keep these turnovers going, we're going to be just like the Denver Broncos last year, guys. You're talking about sacks every game and interceptions every game and forced fumbles every game. That's what the Broncos thrived off of last year. And, guys, with the talent we have on offense, we can be a better offense than the Broncos were last year. So, obviously the guys that really stood out to me on defense this week was John Simon. John Simon stepping up in pass rushing situations, along with Whitney Merciless. But A.J. Bouye really stepping up in that safety spot, along with Vince Wilfork, able to stop the run. And, of course, Kevin Johnson with that big fumble recovery. And so we're going to see if this secondary can continue to play the way they're playing. Last year they were pretty inconsistent. But as J.J. Watt is continuing to get healthier with that lower back injury, and I think this quadruple-headed monster is going to win us a lot of football games, guys. And then after that, we can talk about special teams, I guess. My only knock against our special teams, really, I believe it's Tyreek Hill, number 10 for the Chiefs. I didn't know who this guy was, but I surely do now. Watching him return kicks and return punts, he averaged 27.7 yards per kick return, 15.8 yards per punt return. He was killing us. I believe he should have took one to the house late in the game, but luckily that holding that allowed him to open it up and get to the end zone was the reason why it got brought back. Also, Tyler Ervin looking pretty impressive in the return game as well. Still, he didn't have a great game, but he was keeping punt returns positive, not going backwards, and he also was pretty good on kick returns. But other than that, what I want to see next week against the Patriots is to give Jacoby Brissett weird looks, weird pass rushing looks, weird coverage looks. He's a rookie. He's not even a top-tier talent rookie. So we've got to be able to confuse him a lot, which is what we're really good at when it comes to pass rushing and coverage. We're able to mix up a lot of different looks, and that's something that is going to get to the head of Jacoby Brissett. Gronkowski may be back, so that might help him out a little bit, but I don't see him putting up near the production of Jimmy Garoppolo or Tom Brady. And I think our offense is going to be able to move the ball against New England's defense. I mean, if we're able to move the ball against Kansas City, I think we can move the ball against New England. Their defenses are pretty similar. But I really think we're going to win this next football game. I mean, with Jimmy Garoppolo and if Gronkowski was coming back, I would have been a lot more iffy if we were going to win this football game or not. But, the hot streak we're on right now, they're on their third-string quarterback at this point. They still don't have Deion Lewis. Gronkowski may be back, but he's definitely not going to be 100%. Edelman and Amendola had pretty big games. But I think we'll be able to move the ball enough against this Patriots defense. Bill O'Brien is going to throw a bunch of trash at Brock Osweiler. But I think that we're going to be able to move the ball, score enough points, and our pass rush is going to be able to get by that putrid offensive line that they have there and that makeshift offensive line. And I think we're going to win this football game. I really give us a very, very good chance to win this football game. Not to disrespect Bill Belichick or anything, because he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. But I think they're just at too much of a disadvantage, and that our football team is just way too hot right now for us to lose this game, even if it is in New England. So anyways, guys, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Comment down below. I love talking to you guys in the comments. But most importantly, subscribe for more. I should be making some sort of power rankings video. I didn't get one out after week 1, but I will get one out after week 2. And that should be updated from my preseason, not my preseason, but prior to the regular season, right after the preseason power rankings. And a few things have changed, but I feel like I've gotten it pretty head on. But anyways, guys, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.